Let's focus on the security of the eTMF for a few minutes. Can you give me a bit more detail on what security in an eTMF should look like and how an eTMF's security is different and better than that of a paper TMF?
Sure. So first of all, security is and should be top priority within a clinical study, particularly when it comes to the data and the documentation that goes around it. I mean, let's face it, you spend millions and millions of dollars as a sponsor on a study, and at the end of the day, all you're left with is the data and the documentation that goes along with it. That's what you're going to be submitting. So security has to be the number one priority in all of this. Obviously, with a eTMF, you're going to be using a system that is 21 CFR Part 11 compliant. And if the system is truly 21 CFR Part 11 compliant, along with that come all kinds of great security features that are just built in as a result of that compliance rating. But beyond the system itself and beyond the system being at that level, the eTMF itself needs to have some built-in permissions and security around it as well. So you should have system-level permissions, which will grant people different access to the eTMF, such as read access, write access, maybe admin access, or maybe for your, folks like auditors, you might only want them to have a preview access into the system. So certainly system-level access is very important. But then you even might want to say, well, let's go down to the folder level access. I mean, if you're dealing with CROs that are around the world and you only want that CRO to be getting into the part of the eTMF that is specific to their region, there's no need for them to see the rest of the eTMF, and nor need for them to go and be exploring around in there and potentially messing with things that are all set up and ready to go from that section. So folder level permissions also very, very important. And then I kind of mentioned the preview option. That would be even a file level security. Whereas you would say, if I give you only preview permissions, then you can come into the system, you can preview the file, but you shouldn't be able to download it, you shouldn't be able to upload new versions of it, you shouldn't be able to do anything else with that document other than preview it. And at the same time, that preview screen should have some sort of a optical character recognition blanket put on top of it, sort of a screen, if you will, to make sure that somebody can't take a screen capture of it and then run it through a scanner and using optical character recognition reproduce that document. So those are some of the security features that would come along with an eTMF that you won't get, obviously, with a paper TMF. Paper TMFs risk there are exposure to things such as fire and water. So if your CRO or your housing group doesn't have fire suppressants, or if they don't have water suppressants inside of their documentation room, you could be exposed to that. That burns up, it's gone forever. You can't get that back. Also, with the paper TMF, you can't use any of the tracking reports that you can inside of an eTMF to tell you who's gained access to that document, who's reviewed it, when they reviewed it, how long they had it, what sort of things happened to it while it was away, and when it came back. So these tracking reports, very, very important, but you don't get those with a paper TMF by default. So the security around an eTMF is just so much better than it would be around a paper-based TMF.